Good morning, guys. It is wet and rainy here today, a little chilly. And after weeks of looking at the forecast and seeing nothing but sunshine, suddenly I look at the forecast yesterday and it's nothing but rain and clouds, which is kind of like sad, but also really exciting because it's been a while since we've gotten any sort of consistent precipitation here. We still haven't had any more frosts, but things are definitely looking pretty sad. Like, now that the rain has set in, the stuff that's growing in green is so obvious next to the stuff that's all brown and dying. From up here, I think you can really see, especially in this area, the contrast between the green and the brown. I was actually looking to see if we had hit La Nina season yet, and we are currently neutral, which is in between El Nino and La Nina. So this is theoretically perfectly average weather for us for this time of year. And like I said, it's a little chilly, but it's really not too bad. It's about 60-ish Fahrenheit, 18 Celsius. You know, theoretically comfortable if you're used to the cold. This week is going to be a perfect time for me to go ahead and start planting out some of my really late fall stuff, specifically garlic and perennial onions. All right, let's start the tour here at the first arched trellis. Try as I might, this spider is hell-bent on having her web here. And she's been doing an amazing job catching gnats. Sometimes I come over here and it's like 50 gnats in her web. So I guess I'll leave her. As we come look at this trellis row, one of the downsides that is going to happen, like you can see it here already, is that any dried beans that are out here are super likely to just mold. Now, this one didn't look so great in the first place. You can see it's kind of misshapen, but now on top of that, it's also probably going to mold. That's not ideal. I've definitely harvested a bunch of dried beans from this area over the past few weeks, and it looks like I might not get any more, something like this. If it dries out after the weather warms back up or dries out, then it might still be okay. Something like this, you can tell that this is all wrinkled and starting to dry out. This is very risky for mold. Most of the zinnias are looking like they're dying back, although they still persist and make blooms. Look, here's a brand new bloom starting to come out. It's been really good for the pollinators. I see them out here on the blooms, and even though the rest of the plant looks terrible, it's still been really good to just have them around because there really aren't that many other flowers out for the pollinators right now. Tomatoes, you can see some of these, they just don't look great. This one may be decent, but also a little discolored. I've pulled a few green tomatoes off of here. The green ones tend to still look pretty good. I like to throw those into stir fries, like this one. It's on a very brown looking stem, but the tomato itself looks fine. I would say this Heinz variety, which I'm 99% sure is a hybrid, is actually performing the best at the moment with the out of season weather conditions. So I do like that, but I don't like growing hybrids for the fact that see, this one does actually have a little bit of squish on it. This seeds, if I saved them, would not grow this tomato again. That's just how hybrids work, because the genetics are so unstable. So you have to buy the seeds for a hybrid every year. The good thing about the wet is it makes spider webs so much more visible, so much harder to accidentally run into them. There's a little bit more to see going on here in the second row. Definitely eggplants and peppers and stuff, because it has been pretty warm these last couple of weeks, acting like it's still summer. You can see there's even new growth coming on to this eggplant. Now, it's definitely not going to have time to produce anything else before the frost, but it's still out here trying. It doesn't know. The lettuces, each week I am amazed at how fast they're growing, and you can start seeing the competition happening. Some of them are starting to win out, and if I wanted to, I could come through here and like thin out a lot of these plants and then take the ones that I thin out and just use them in a salad, because it's not like they're bad, you know, just pull up the whole plant instead of taking a couple of leaves. Or I could super heavily harvest all of this and not pull out any of the plants and just keep coming back more often for smaller greens. The peas are loving this weather. I might try planting some more seeds now that the ground is going to be consistently damp for like almost an entire week. I've still got plenty of peppers out here, although I should definitely keep an eye on the weather and make sure to pull everything if the frost is going to come. But even these plants, look, those are some brand new leaves right there. They're like just happy to be here. They don't know what's coming in the weather. Same for the hot peppers over here. I've been lucky that they survived that first bout of frost and are continuing to ripen more peppers for me. You can see a couple of really nice ones back there. And then some of these over here. These look just gorgeous. And again, we're seeing new little leaves coming on. If you didn't know, peppers actually, if you manage to keep them warm enough all winter, they will just keep growing. A lot of people will dig them up and bring them inside. I just don't have the space for something like that. And the brassicas are loving this weather. This looks like, you can see the difference in the color of the brassicas here. They're much more of a like, I don't know, bluish green than the like really bright yellowy green of this type of plant. This is perfect weather for them. It's a little cold, but not like super cold. It's not below freezing all the time, but it's also not really getting above 70 either. It's damp. These are thriving. I'm actually really happy to see a couple of my rutabagas. Oh goodness, look at that. The ants are going to town on this one. I bet it's because so much of it is sticking up out of the ground. Here's another one. Well, this one, they don't seem to care about that one bit. Interesting. And this looks like a radish. That might even be close to done. Also in here we've got, this is a mustard. That's actually a potato. I can never get, there's more potatoes here, potato here. I can never get all the potatoes out of this area. We've got a dill coming up here. And all these little lettuces right in here with some more dill, spinach, etc. all mixed in together. In this area where the corn was, which is now a bunch of cabbage and Brussels sprouts that I got started plants from the store for, are also looking incredible. I do see one that is struggling. You can see the leaves, how they're all curled. That is aphids. These gray ones I see on my brassicas sometimes. Interestingly, you will not find them on all of the plants. And at this point, I'm pretty certain that aphids only go after plants that are already struggling. They just don't have the immune system to fight them off. So what I'm gonna do, seeing as the rest of these look great, I think I will come through with a dose of organic Rev for this plant and see if that can perk it up, and also just kind of keep the immunity of these guys up so that they can be certain to not get infected. If you've not heard me talk about Organic Rev before, it's one of the few products that I actually promote on my channel, and I really like it because it is full of all of the good bacteria and fungi that your soil needs to be healthy, and when your soil is healthy, your plants can get the nutrition that they need out of it to be healthy themselves. I have an affiliate link below if you want to check that out. Now if we look at my blue butterfly peas, I could be coming through and harvesting flowers more often, it looks like, but this thing is still making so many flowers. And now I have to keep an eye on these little seed pods because I do not want them to mold like those other ones. This one feels pretty dry, actually. I think I might go ahead and pull it and take it inside and see if I can't dry it off. I see a couple more up here that look not quite done. I did not realize getting seeds from this plant was going to be so difficult. I might still have to buy more seeds again next year, which is unfortunate, but I think I would be willing to do it just because this plant is so pretty, and of course I love making tea with the little flowers. Recently I noticed in the middle of my walkway here between the two trellises, I never intentionally plant anything in the middle here because I like a good space for walking, but look at these. These are little brassica seedlings of some sort. I don't know what they are. The leaves are giving broccoli vibes, but honestly brassicas all tend to look so similar. It's hard to say for sure. But they are thriving, and hopefully they grow big enough to actually show me what they are. I love volunteers like this. They're always some of the more robust plants from the garden because, you know, they've decided this is a good place to try and grow. The noodle bean trellis is finally looking fully dead. I don't see any green or growing bits on it anymore at all. Some of the stuff that was small just kind of stopped growing. And I've got maybe a few more seeds in some of these pods, but again, we've got risk of mold and just risk of them not being fully developed either. The peas are kind of coming in around the sides, and it looks like I got the timing right on these plants, like they're the right size for this time of year. If only I had gotten more of them to survive the initial sprouting stage. So unfortunately thin peas, but glad to have at least the information on the timing. We've got a lot more fall stuff in this area to take a look at. First, a quick check-in on these perennials here. The hardy kiwi and the grapes, definitely looking a little worse for the wear given probably the temperature. But this stalk, the woody stem, will live over the winter and will start putting out new leafy growth in the spring. I'm pretty sure this should drop all its leaves once it gets cold enough. Carrot experiment over here. Interestingly, looking much thinner than last time. It looks like some of them have been outcompeted, although I haven't been keeping up with watering it super well recently. That's a grass. Looks like we still got some survivors, but if we compare this growth to what I'm seeing in my other raised bed, it's a cute little jumping spider. It is lackluster for sure. And like I've said before, this is a pretty shady spot that I've got this pot in. This is definitely not ideal conditions for a carrot, like aside from all the crowding and everything. For comparison, these are the carrots I've been taking good care of. These were planted a little earlier than the other ones, but honestly not by more than a week or two. This one pea trying its hardest in here. These are looking great. We are theoretically approaching the time that they should be harvestable. These carrots should be done in 80-ish days. I'm starting to see a little bit of root forming down there, nothing massive yet. And the growth will be slowing down with it cooling off, and I will be waiting until after we've had like some solidly cold below freezing weather to harvest these, because they will be much sweeter if I do that. Now over here I'm seeing onions coming up from last year that I apparently missed pulling. They've just been hiding in the ground this whole time, and the calendula is telling me that it absolutely loves this weather. I have not seen this many blossoms on it, and I've not seen the foliage looking this happy. like all summer. This is perfect calendula weather right here. My newly turned over raised bed from sweet potatoes to brassicas, it's definitely taking its time getting established. I mean, these little ones, I knew that they were a little stunted and definitely gonna struggle bust their way through, but I thought I'd definitely give them a chance. These are radishes. They're just now starting to put on their first true leaves, and usually once that happens, the growth of a plant can really start taking off, because it's like starts exponentially increasing its ability to photosynthesize. Oh, what happened here? Why are you laying over? Oh, you are fully decapitated. Oh no. I wonder what did that. Yeah, in here we've got some combination of kale and cabbage, and these ones are for sure kohlrabi. There's a couple of Brussels sprouts, maybe a cauliflower and a broccoli, and then everything else in between is radishes. I also had put some spinach seeds in here, but I haven't seen any of them sprout, which is a little disappointing. And then these brassicas, which were planted much earlier, I'm starting to see like a section of the raised bed that's not doing as well as everything else. I think you can kind of see the cutoff right here, and I don't fully understand why just these ones would be doing so bad and everything else doing great. But similar to what we saw in the other area, these ones have started getting those aphids on them, and not all the plants have them, only some of them do. So I have given them 1 dose of Rev already, and I will probably do some more just to kind of keep the health up of the ones that are doing good. Not to mention this soil, although it has compost in it, is definitely not going to be as full of life as something in ground, just because most of the soil that was brought in was, sterile and bagged. Carrots don't seem to be affected by the aphids at all. Oh, look at that guy. I think that's a type of fly. I don't think that's a bee, but I could be wrong. I'll try and look it up on iNaturalist and let y'all know. But that one's an unusual one for me. Some of these are looking incredible. Although, this really nice healthy looking leaf still has a little bit of aphids trying to chew on it. Beets. Let's see if they've got them. I haven't really seen aphids on the beets. They are more genetically different from the rutabagas, though, as are the carrots. Definitely some sad leaves looking in here, but also some good looking roots coming in. I am still getting raspberries from over here, and I will be getting raspberries until it gets cold enough to fully kill the foliage. So not a lot still, maybe like 5 or 10 per day, but I'm still very thrilled to have them. I think they're a wonderful little snack to have every time I come out here in the garden. The kumquat, we are monitoring a single fruit that it is trying to produce. Let's see, there it is. It doesn't appear to really be getting much bigger at all. Maybe a touch. I don't know exactly when I'm supposed to be expecting to harvest this. I know citrus is like a winter thing, so maybe, I don't know, maybe we're looking at December? I'm not really sure. I also want to talk to you guys about why my lawn looks so overgrown. Definitely for a while it stopped growing because the drought was so bad. And then it got cold and it also wasn't growing, and then it was a little warm again, but it's also getting cold again. And it's kind of long, much longer than most people would let their lawns get. But I think I'm going to leave it because I think that all of this will protect the ground better over winter and also give more habitat for a lot of the beneficial insects that I'm hoping to cultivate in my garden ecosystem. So even though it's kind of ugly, I think in the long run, it'll be really good for the garden. Okay, and before we go in, of course, we have to check on the mushrooms from last week. I left a couple of little ones to see how big they would get, and then promptly did not come out and check on them for a few days. So this one is much bigger, much older. Same with these, and definitely been munched on. I'm like 90% sure it's mostly snails doing the big munching, and then sometimes ants come along and munch the littler stuff. I have already dried the ones that I harvested previously, and I'm gonna use them for stock to just add a bunch of flavor, because they were already super munched. But I mean, them being munched on by stuff doesn't necessarily negate the rest of the mushroom. It just makes them really unappealing. And that is what stock is great for, is you boil everything in it. None of it has to look good because you strain it all out after, and all you're left with is that really rich flavor. With all of this damp weather, I'm also going to be keeping an eye on my lion's mane logs. These definitely do fruit from time to time, although it might be starting to get too chilly for them to fruit. I'll have to double check those temperature ranges. Which, by the way, the reason only one of my logs is producing right now is because I have a few different types of shiitake out here. I have like warm shiitake, cooler weather shiitake, and also a wild shiitake. This one that is fruiting is, I will double check my chart and put it on the screen, but it's definitely not the warm one, and that's why it is fruiting when it is not quite so warm out. If you are somehow behind on the garden tours, I'm going to go ahead and leave this playlist up here for you to go ahead and catch up, and I will see you here next week for another garden tour. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy gardening.